Washington, D.C. emerged as the urban center of bluegrass music in the 1960s and 70s. Authors Kip Lornell and Tom Mindte's biography of Buzz Busby, considered by many to be the father of Washington bluegrass, tells the story of Busby's troubled life and how he created an urban niche for rural music in the nation's capital.
Washington, D.C. was a capital for bluegrass in urban America, and Buzz Busby was arguably the most important person early on.
Because he had a television show.
Ah, the television show.
Yeah, it was on daily, 5 days a week.
Yep.
That introduced people who grew up in Washington to bluegrass. In other words, prior to that, it were just migrants from other parts of the country, from the South, that came here that took up the music. The television show is what introduced native Washingtonians and people from the suburbs to bluegrass.
And interestingly enough, the name of the show reflected the kind of rural roots. It was called Hayloft Hoedown. Many people have talked about, watching that show and how influential it was. And I know you've looked for more remnants of that show in terms of sound and video, or sound and sight, but it simply does not exist.
As far as I can tell, it doesn't exist. Yeah. I became acquainted with Buzz's music through some records that my father had, and he played at the house. And I finally got to meet Buzz Busby. And eventually, I became a member of his band, playing the bass. And one time on a visit to his house, he told me that he had created an autobiography on cassette tapes. And he entrusted it to me in hopes that a book would be written about him someday. So here it is. Here's the book. Not only Buzz's autobiography, but I went around the country and tracked down musicians that played with him, and family members and other important people in his life, and interviewed them. And we have those interviews in the book, excerpts from them. Unfortunately, Buzz had an addiction problem. And so while it was very tragic to him, it made for a very interesting story, all the things that happened along his life and along the way, and how he dealt with a genius talent with that addiction problem and all of the adventures he was on because of those two things combined.
Well, in the book, we really kind of intertwine what people said about Buzz and the Adventures and Buzz's own words on the autobiography. Now it's finally out.
And we're very happy that it's out, too. And we sure hope that you can order it and enjoy it. And the information on how to do so will come up on the screen.
Buzz Busby, father of Washington, D.C. bluegrass, University of Illinois Press.